Good morning, everyone. This is Parsai, and today is August 15th, 2021. I'm live from Toronto. Before people join us, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Parsai. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I teach immigration consulting at Ashton College in Vancouver and also at Global School of Corporate Excellence in Toronto. I'm the author of the bestseller book, 88 Tips on Immigration to Canada, which includes all different tips about how to immigrate to Canada or get a visa or work permit or study permit. I have been working as a regulated Canadian immigration consultant for the past 10 plus years, and I have represented thousands of clients from 50 plus countries. Actually, now we have reached 53 countries in the world. So immigration, a word, and then after that, and I can't for some reason see the chat. Oh, okay, now I can see it. So if you have any questions and you want to ask those questions, you can post them in the chat box. Don't repeat your questions. I promise when I'm done with the news, if there are any questions, I will answer them one by one. We have 1 hour for this session. So hopefully by the end of hour, I will answer every questions. If we don't have many questions, then we will wrap it up before 1 hour. So in terms of the word of immigration, of course, if you want to check out the latest immigration news, this is the link that I post in the chat box. We publish the latest news on our website. We have a journalist. She constantly, Andrea Michel, constantly reviews the word of immigration, contacts with the immigration authorities, and posts the latest immigration news on our website. This is the link that I posted in the chat box. I will post the link below this video as well. Make sure to register to our website and you can read the latest news. But I quickly review what we have and what we saw in the past 7 days. And then after that, we can talk about a little bit about different immigration options and answer your questions. So one of the areas of problem is that when you come to Canada as a newcomer, you are in a new cultural environment. Some of the newcomers, they have difficulty in communicating in English or French languages. They cannot find jobs or they have trouble. There are in settling in Canada, there are many settlement services organizations in Canada that they offer those services to newcomers to allow them to smoothly become part of the Canadian society. The government of Canada just recently announced that they are going to invest an extra $100 million in those settlement services. So in case that you are a newcomer in Canada, you can be part of the Canadian society as quickly as possible. If you want to know more, I just posted the link in the chat box, but you can also check out our website. The other issue that I'm hoping that this is done properly, and the issue is that right now, if you have a representative like me, if you have an immigration lawyer or an immigration consultant who helps you with your immigration process, they use something called a portal, and that portal is for authorized paid representatives. They fill out forms on your behalf, they upload documents, etc. But unfortunately, there is a disconnect between you and the content of that portal because your representative cannot share their username password with you because it is common between all their clients, and you will not have access to the content of your portal. And that means that you constantly need to contact your representative, ask them for screenshots of your portal. That's a nuisance for the representative, a nuisance for you, and that causes lots of problems. Also, in some application types like Express Entry, that everything is online, the representative will either has to ask you to go to their office to review the forms or send you screenshots of the forms and make corrections, etc. The government intends to resolve that by introducing a new portal, and that allows each of the applicants to have access to their own content, and that will be great. So we don't know the exact details of the new portal because it has not been released, but the government has promised to release it on the first week of or second week of September, sometime in September. So they will hopefully release it in September. We will test it out, and hopefully it will be less bugs comparing to the portal that we are using today. It's a huge mess using that portal, but hopefully the new portal will resolve many of the issues. So I keep my fingers crossed that happens. The next thing that you need to know is that the government of Canada extended their agreement with the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So this is the news if you want to know. So just for those of you who are not familiar with the Canadian geography, Canada consists of 10 provinces and 3 territories. And those provinces from west to east are British Columbia, which the capital of British Columbia is Victoria. The largest city is Vancouver. Then we have Alberta. The capital is Edmonton. The largest city is Calgary. Then Saskatchewan. The largest city is Saskatoon. The capital is Regina. Then we have Manitoba. The capital is Winnipeg. And the largest city is also Winnipeg. Ontario, the capital is Toronto, but also the capital of Canada, Ottawa, is located in Ontario, and many large cities of Canada are located in Ontario, like Mississauga, like Windsor, Niagara Falls, etc. Then we have Quebec. The capital is Quebec City, and the largest city is Montreal. And then we reach a group of provinces called Atlantic provinces or maritime provinces, including New Brunswick. And the capital of New Brunswick is Fredericton. The largest city is St. John's. And then we have Prince Edward Island, and the capital is Charlottetown. We have Nova Scotia. The capital is Halifax. And we have Newfoundland and Labrador, and the capital is St. John. And we have also 3 territories: Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. The government of Canada has signed agreements with these provinces in terms of immigration to those provinces. With the exception of Nunavut, all the provinces and territories of Canada, they have their provincial programs, and they every now and again they need to sit with the government of Canada, and they discuss their goals in the upcoming years, and they sign agreements in terms of accepting immigrants. And recently, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador signed a recent agreement with the federal government of Canada in terms of immigration levels and immigration types to that province. The good news about the provincial immigration options are that sometimes you do not qualify for any federal immigration option, but those provincial options allow you to immigrate to Canada. Having said that, most of, not all, most of provincial programs, they focus on the needs of the province, and also they focus on those people who are already in the province. So for example, if you are an international student in Newfoundland and Labrador, and then you get the opportunity to immigrate to Newfoundland and Labrador. If you're a worker there, again, the same thing. But if you are not working there, if you are not an international student, it becomes more difficult to immigrate to that province. But it's a good idea if you check out our article on the subject of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I just copy pasted here. By the way, if you have any questions, just please post your questions once in the chat box. I promise I will come back and answer all questions. Okay, so I'm almost halfway through the news. When I'm done with the news, I will come back and answer those questions. There is no need to repeat your questions. Okay, so let me see. Oh, by the way, with the provincial programs, what happens is that a province will select you, and they usually issue you something called a certificate of nomination. In Quebec, they call it CSQ. And by receiving that certificate of nomination, you will refer to the federal government of Canada and you request permanent residence. And then if they approve you, which they usually respect the provincial government unless they find the person is cheating or the person is inadmissible to Canada. If they don't encounter those problems, then they will allow the person to immigrate to Canada, and they become permanent residents of Canada. But if you're already a temporary foreign worker in the province or an international student in the province, the good news is that you remain in Canada until they process your application. That's usually the way it works. Not always. There are some exceptions to this rule, but just to give you an idea that how provincial programs work. And remember that provincial programs are destined are for those people who are destined to a specific province. So for example, if you use the Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program or SINP, then it means that you eventually want to settle in the province of Saskatchewan. If you don't want to settle in the province of Saskatchewan, then you need to apply under federal programs, which they target and you can basically settle anywhere in Canada with the exception of Quebec, or you need to pick another province that you really want to settle in that province. I have a video on YouTube that explains what happens if you immigrate to a province and then you decide to move to another province. So if you give me a second, I will find this move out of province. Let me find this article and share it with you here. So this is not an article, sorry, it's a video on YouTube. I just shared the video here as well, and you can later watch this. Okay, so let me see what else we have in the news, and then I will answer your questions. So there are some rumors going on that Canada is working on a vaccine passport for international travelers. We don't know what would be the details of that, but what I can tell you right now is that starting from September 7th, 2021, so in about 3 weeks from now, if you are fully vaccinated, then you may travel to Canada even for leisure. For example, you can travel to Canada because you want to be a tourist, and that will be great. However, you need to prove to the immigration authorities or to CBSA that you actually have gone through the medical examination. You are fully vaccinated. And by fully vaccinated, it means that you have received vaccines that are approved by the authorities in Canada or by Health Canada. Right now, Health Canada has only approved 4 vaccines: Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer-BioNTech. So if you have received any of those fully, for example, for some of them, you need to receive 2 doses, and it has to be at least 14 days from the last dose that you receive, then you may travel to Canada starting from September 7th, 2021. However, right now, the way that you prove it is just you upload 2 PDF files and the details to an app called ArriveCan. And that is not consistent with the requirements of different provinces in Canada. Also, some people cheat. We've had recently some people that they lied about their vaccination and they received fines here in Canada. So to prevent that, the government of Canada is looking for a consistent and, of course, way that protects the integrity of this system, and at the same time, it makes it probably a little bit easier for people to travel to Canada. We don't have more details than this, but here is the link to the post that we have posted on our website. You can read that as well to know more about these vaccines. Again, it looks like that the province of Ontario is very active in accepting new immigrants. They actually recently, every week or every other week or once a month, they invite people to the province and they select them based on their job experience. So, and of course, these job experiences are based on the report that they receive from their different sources in terms of the needs of the province. But you need to keep in mind, I will go through the jobs that they recently invited, but it doesn't mean that 2 weeks from now or 1 month from now, they will invite the very same groups of people to immigrate to the province of Ontario. But at least it gives you an idea that if you enter the pool of expression of interest with the province of Ontario, and you're already in the pool of express entry with good points, usually 430 above, or you are already an international student here in Ontario or a temporary foreign worker, there is a chance for you if your job is one of those essential jobs that the province of Ontario wants. So I post the link to this article here. I quickly go through this, but again, I emphasize this is not a permanent job list and it could easily change over time. So the first group are health and agriculture occupations, and be more specific, these occupations were invited: nurse aides, orderlies, and patient service associate, which is NOC 3413, and NOC stands for National Occupational Classification, which consists of 4 digits, and that refers to a specific group of jobs. Home support workers and related occupations, excluding housekeepers, NOC 4412. General farm workers, NOC 8431. Nursery and greenhouse workers, NOC 8432. Harvesting laborers, NOC 8611. Industrial butchers and meat cutters, poultry preparers and related workers, NOC 9462. And they also invited a bunch of people that they were related to the other job offers, that they include manufacturing, but these jobs are the invitations will be sent to people who are outside Greater Toronto area. So machine operators, mineral and metal processing, NOC 9411. Metalworking and forging machine operators, NOC 9416. Machining tool operators, NOC 9417. Other metal products machine operators, 9418. Chemical plant machine operators, 9421. Plastics processing machine operators, 9422. Woodwork machine operators, 9437. Industrial sewing machine operators, NOC 9446. Process control and machine operators, food, beverage, and associated products processing, 9461. Electronic assemblers, fabricators, inspectors and testers, 9523. Mechanical assemblers and inspectors, 9526. Industrial painters, coaters, and metal finishing processing operators, 9536. And other products assemblers, finishers, and inspectors, and that will be NOC 9537. And these are the people who applied for in-demand skills stream, and they most likely receive invitations a few days ago, around August 11th. If they had submitted their application before August 11th, 2021, they probably have received their invitation already. But that, again, you can check out the post that I have on our website and see the list. And again, I emphasize that this list is subject to change. And when I say subject to change, believe it or not, every other week or every month it changes. Not that it may change 2 years from now. Okay, and then the next one is that just two more, and then we're done. So the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants will be, or CICC will be, will come to force on November 23rd, 2021. So what does it mean for you? Right now, if you want to hire an immigration consultant, that immigration consultant must be registered with an organization called ICCRC, like me. So they need to be members of ICCRC, and you can hire them, you can pay them money. Of course, they need to be professional, etc. But the government wants to solidify the integrity of this profession. That's why they created a statute or a law of parliament, and that law will govern a new college for, or a new entity for these immigration consultants, and all the existing immigration consultants become members of the new college, and at the same time, eventually they will represent clients through that college. So if you have already hired a member of ICCRC, don't worry about it. They will just transition to the new college. But in the future, those people, starting from November 23rd, those people who want to represent people to immigration authorities, and they are not immigration lawyers, they are immigration consultants, they must be members of CICC. So right now, anybody who says that I'm an immigration consultant must be a member of ICCRC, but starting from November 23rd, that person must be a member of CICC. The good news is that the government allowed the entity called ICCRC becomes a CICC, and that transition is the smoothest that we could expect for immigration consultants. And then the last piece of news is unfortunately bad news. Canada decided to extend travel ban from India until September 21st. So we don't know whether they will stop this ban after September 21st, but now they are constantly extending that. Now this ban means that if somebody wants to travel from India to Canada, unfortunately, there will be no direct flights from India to Canada, so that's out of question. And if they are traveling by connect flight, then at the connection point, they need to receive their PCR test, and that means that they may end up staying in that country or the connecting flight country for a few days. Sometimes they need to even self-isolate for 2 weeks or more before they can even travel to Canada. So it will be very difficult for Indian citizens and residents to be able to travel to Canada nowadays. That's very unfortunate. Many of my clients are Indian citizens, and that has caused a ton of problems for them. And also the visa offices in India, all three visa offices in India are not working right now properly. The number of applications are being processed by those offices are very limited, and partly because they don't want to encourage Indian citizens to travel to Canada right now, and partly it's because of of course, the dire situation over there. They'd rather to reduce the number of staff in the visa offices. So it's the situation for Indian citizens is not good, but hopefully in the near future that problem will resolve. Again, if you want to know about immigration news, just go to settler.ca/English/immigration news. I post the link here, and you can learn more about the latest developments in the world of immigration. Okay, so now we are almost halfway through. I will go through the questions that you have, and I try to answer all of those questions. And then hopefully we wrap up the session in a timely fashion. So let's see. So the first question is, hey, sir, thank you for everything. Thank you very much for attending this session. The next one is from Jacob. I have a visa study for 10/1/2020 to 31/3/2021 by the port officer. Don't give me this study permit because I changed my institute, that I changed my study program, asked for asylum to stay in Canada. So I didn't quite get your question, but if somebody files for, and I give you a general answer. So if somebody files for asylum inside Canada, then the situation will change for that person. The person obviously loses their status in Canada and they become a refugee claimant. And when you are a refugee claimant, you are qualified to study in Canada if you want to study. However, you need to have a letter of admission. So what you usually do and what we do for our clients is that when we fill out the forms, there is a form called Schedule 12. On the Schedule 12, we mention that the client needs a study permit in Canada. We mention that, and we also include a letter of acceptance or LOA with our application package, and they will issue a study permit accordingly to the person to allow them to study in Canada. But you lose your, as soon as you apply for refugee inside Canada, you lose your status in Canada. But there are solutions around that. You can solve that problem and get a study permit and study in Canada. But the conduit to make that happen, the way that you can make it happen is different from regular applications. Obviously, if somebody files for refugee inside Canada and that person wants to work, not to study, again, they on Schedule 12, they mentioned that they want to work, and they, after their interview is complete and their package is referred to the immigration authorities, to IRB, Immigration Refugee Board of Canada, they will also receive a work permit in Canada. So hopefully I answered your question. So the next question, I have a question. I came to Canada in 2009 as a student. Until 2014, I lost my status and lived in Canada without status till 2021. Then I became a permanent resident. I want to know if it count when I apply for citizenship. I can count from the first day when I came to Canada. So obviously, I cannot comment on the specifics of your case because I don't know what would be your case. But generally speaking, when you apply for citizenship to Canada, you need to go back 5 years from the day that you submit the application. So let's say you submit the application on January 1st, 2021. If you go back, you reach January 1st, 2016. So from January 1st, 2016 to January 1st, 2021, you need to collect 3 years of residency in Canada. 2 years of those 3 years must be when you are a permanent resident of Canada. So the maximum number of days that you can count is 1 year or 365 days as a temporary resident. So those 2 years are important. You cannot be anything else. Now, for the other 1 year, so let's say in the past 5 years, you never left Canada. So for 3 years, you were here as a temporary resident, 2 years as permanent resident, then you need to have temporary status in Canada to be able to count your days. So again, I cannot comment on the specifics of your case because I honestly don't know your case, but you have to be very careful not to count those days that are not allowed. And we have a guideline on IRCC website. Let me just find it, how to count. I can share this with you. Okay. This is a link, and it can officially tell you that whether what you can count and what you cannot count, just to avoid any mistakes. Okay, so the next question. Okay, so the next question is from Badon Barua. Is it possible to change name just one letter on name and date of birth in Canada? Thanks. So, of course, name change is outside the scope of my business as an immigration consultant. But what I can tell you is that, yes, generally speaking, it is possible. There are in each province, and again, I say this as a layperson, as a professional, there is a process that you can go through that process and make changes to your first name, to your last name, etc. You could even, at the time of becoming a Canadian citizen, request the government that your intention is to use another name when you become a Canadian citizen, and you can go through that. So it's more of a provincial matter if you want to make changes to your name, but you can also claim a new name when you are going through the process of becoming a citizen. Having said that, keep in mind that name change could cause problem, because there will be always a contradiction between your old documents and the new documents. So you need to always explain what happened. So you are the same person, but you're using a different name. Also, you need to inform a bunch of organizations, your bank, your creditors, your the person who provided you with a mortgage, if you have a mortgage, your health insurance organization, etc., that you have changed your name. So there will be a transition, and that transition will cost you money and will take time and energy. And also after that, there will be some contradictions between the old and new documents that you need to justify. But other than that, yeah, it is completely possible. Again, I emphasize this is not my area of my practice, but that's what I have seen in the years of living in Canada. So the next question is from Remo Analuam. Hello, sir. Thank you for your information and your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I want to ask about how far the PR application going on, the backlogs, especially those outside Canada applicants, since border is open. So unfortunately, the backlog is huge in pretty much every aspect of immigration that you can think of. So that could be temporary residence to Canada, permanent residence to Canada. And when I talk about permanent residence, startup visa, self-employed applications, spousal applications, even express entry. Most express entry applications are delayed. So we have backlog in every aspect, even with temporary resident permit, authorization to return to Canada, rehabilitation applications, you name it, we have a backlog. And delays. And we constantly, pretty much every single day, I am dealing with clients that they contact me, ask about the status of their application, or they want me to follow up with the immigration authorities. And of course we do. We constantly send them messages. But some of the offices, they do not even reply back. Some of the offices reply back with just very generic messages that, oh yeah, we are currently just working on essential, etc. So if you are waiting for a long time for the processing of your application, unfortunately, you're not alone. That could potentially give you some comfort that other people are also stuck, but that's not good enough, because the families are falling apart. They are away from each other. People are really suffering, and they are in limbo. They don't know what to do with this situation, but that's the way it is, unfortunately. Will it change now that the borders are opening? Yes, hopefully. But at the same time, keep in mind that we are unfortunately entering the fourth wave of coronavirus. The number of cases in Canada has increased significantly, and that could negatively affect the process. Maybe they will again decide to shut the border or make some amendments, or even introduce lockdowns in different provinces, depending how bad the situation becomes. Right now, the situation is not bad, but unfortunately, we are moving towards a bad situation. For example, in Ontario, the province that I live in, just a couple of weeks ago, the daily cases had dropped below 200 cases, and we had sometimes 100, 120, 130 cases. Nowadays, the number of cases are above 500 cases, and that unfortunately could contribute to more restrictions in the future. We have to wait and see. Right now, there are no signs of restrictions, but this could change. Okay, so the next question is from Anurag. I work with US tax returns with private accounting firm. My job would fall under 1111. So unfortunately, I cannot answer this question right away. The reason that I'm saying this because the way that we find out a correct NOC code are based on two things. Not based on the job title, not just based on the job title. We'll look at the lead statement of that NOC code. So you can open the NOC code. For example, in terms of your NOC code, if I open it, there is a lead statement on the job. And let me just bring it up. So you mentioned 1111. Financial auditors and accountants. So what you need to do, you need to read the lead statement. So for example, for financial auditors and accountants, the lead statement is financial auditors examine and analyze the accounting and financial records of individuals and establishments to ensure accuracy and compliance with established accounting standards and procedures. Accountants plan, organize, and administer accounting systems for individuals and establishments. They are employed by private sector accounting and auditing firms or departments and public sector accounting and auditing departments or units, or they may be self-employed. Articling students in accounting firms are included in this unit group. So first, the first thing that you need to ask yourself, whether your job description fits this. So that's important. If your job description does not fit this lead statement, then you are looking at the wrong NOC code. That's number one. If you believe that your job description fits this, then you need to scroll down and look at the main duties of this job. And now for this specific NOC code, we have two subgroups, is financial auditors and accountants. So you need to look at one of those, and you need to see that majority of those items or bullet points that are mentioned, they also apply to you. If majority of them apply to you, then it's very likely you are looking at the correct NOC code. The rest of it is not that much important, like the employment requirements or exclusions or job titles. However, those requirements and job titles, etc., they also give you a hint whether you're looking at the correct NOC code or not. But the two top things that you need to look at on NOC codes is the lead statement and the main duties. And if on the main duties we have some essential duties, which normally we don't, but if you have essential duties, then you must do all those essential duties. But with the main duties, you need to do majority of them. So I hope that will help you. So the next question is that, is there any news about Quebec's NOC need? No, we don't have anything. I need to tell you that I do not practice Quebec immigration. I don't have a license for Quebec, and I do not represent clients to Quebec. But because our journalist looks into the news, if something comes up, she will publish it. So you can check out our website and see if anything comes up, we will definitely publish it. But right now, it looks like that Quebec, in the past year or year and a half, has been very silent. The activities that are coming from Quebec are extremely limited. We rarely hear any major things from Quebec, unfortunately. So the next question is that, oh, I lost the question. Oh, here it is. From Marissa Curtin. Good morning. I want to ask, I have filed under common law since March. They have just sent an email to let me know they have received it. How long will it take to immigrate to start on my papers. So Marissa, of course, I cannot talk about your specific case, but what nowadays happens is that in the past we submitted the application, we received an letter or acknowledgement of receipt, which also included your file number, your UCI, and you knew that they started processing the application, and it was fairly quick. I mean, the processing time for most spousal and common law relationship sponsorship applications was under 12 months. Nowadays, that's not the case. And as you have probably experienced, when you submit the application, they send you just an acknowledgement of the receipt of the package without issuing a file number for you. So they issue a temporary file number, but it doesn't mean anything because it means that they just received the application. Then it could take them 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 months before they even open your application. And then when they open your application, they will review it. And if it is not complete, they will reject it. They will basically send the whole thing back to you and say, okay, this is missing, send us this document, etc. But if they believe that the application is complete, then in that situation, they will start processing your application. And by processing, it has 2 major steps. Step 1 is to approve the sponsor. And if they approve the sponsor, then the application, if it's an outside Canada case, it will go to the visa office to approve the applicant. And that's when you receive the letter for doing your medical exam or the IME letter. They will start initiating the background check, etc. If they want to invite you for an interview, they invite you for an interview, etc. Nowadays, the processing time of spousal, common law relationship, or conjugal relationship applications could exceed 1.5 years. And that's really frustrating for most people, pretty much for everybody. To me, it's meaningless for 2 common law partners or spouses to be away from each other for more than a year and a half, just waiting for their application to go through. Obviously, if you're an in Canada inland applicant, you may remain with your spouse and receive hopefully a work permit until they process your application. But for outside Canada cases, it's really frustrating and time consuming. The next one is a FOSA, Agbeifan. Can you file for a spousal sponsorship for new spouse under in Canada class if the spouse lives in a different city due to studies? The simple answer to this question is no, because under Section 124 of the regulations, what we expect for in Canada class is that the spouse or common law partner and the sponsor live together. That's the essence. So the wording of the law says that they reside in Canada together. So it's just because they are inside Canada, it doesn't mean that they are together. If they are not together, that's really weird. Now, can somebody justify that to the immigration authorities? Honestly, I don't know if anybody has challenged that or if you have any court cases around that, but it is very unlikely. It's a dangerous path to take if the spouse and the sponsor, they don't actually live together. Okay. So look, this is the exact wording of Section 124. The person is the spouse or common law partner of a sponsor and cohabit with that sponsor in Canada. So cohabitation is an important element of in Canada class. But keep that in mind. And again, this is not about your case because I don't know the details of your case. But if 2 people, so the applicant is inside Canada, but that applicant doesn't live with the sponsor, they can initiate an outside Canada application. However, the problem with outside Canada applications is that they do not have the right for a work permit, etc. For international students, they may later apply for postgraduate work permit, but they cannot apply for a work permit under spousal sponsorship cases. But the good news for outside Canada cases is the fact that they qualify for appeal. So if the officers refuse the application, you have the right to appeal that refusal. So there are some goods and bads about that. I have an article that I compare inland spousal applications. And when I say in spouse, I'm looking at spousal common law relationship applications. So inland versus outside Canada cases. I post the link here, and if I don't forget, I will post it below this video. Let me just write it down here. Inland versus outside. You can also check out my article. I have a table. I explain the differences, etc., and hopefully you will find it useful. So the next question, and we only have 15 minutes left, so I'll try to quickly answer all the questions. So the next one is from MCAL student. A friend forgot to mention his USA visa refusal in his past temporary resident application, permanent resident application. Can you raise a web form and letter of explanation to inform IRCC? So this falls under misrepresentation, and it's a sensitive matter. I'd rather not to offer any kind of advice on this because I need to look into the circumstances surrounding that situation and give them the proper advice. And I highly recommend that this person very quickly get in touch with an immigration lawyer, an immigration consultant that also understand misrepresentation and explain their situation in detail. And then they decide what would be the best step to take to prevent any misrepresentation allegations or removal from Canada or inadmissibility to Canada. Keep that in mind, that Canada and the United States, they share immigration information. So if somebody hides their refusal from the United States and they do not share it with the Canadian immigration authorities, they will definitely find out. And that will cause, most likely, misrepresentation allegations and inadmissibility to Canada. So before they receive a procedural fairness letter, it is in their best interest to take action, but how they take action and how to disclose that and how to explain it, that's the part that they really need to book an appointment with a professional immigration consultant or a professional immigration lawyer. This is what I can tell you for sure, because they need to look into the specifics of that case. So my wife, obviously, if they want to book an appointment with me, I will happily look into their case and offer advice as well. You can refer to our website to see how you can book an appointment with me. But I just post the link here as well. And I also post the link below this video for future bookings. So the next question is from Vinod Kumar. My wife as a primary applicant and I'm dependent. I have a medical history in 2015 when I had a brain stroke. Now I'm in general medication for the same. Is that issue with my medical results? So I don't know the specifics of your case, but generally speaking, the medical inadmissibility of one member of the family can make everybody makes everybody inadmissible to Canada if they are immigrating to Canada. So it doesn't matter whether you are the primary applicant or you are the accompanying spouse. The second issue is that unless the issue is threatening to health of Canadians or safety of Canadians, then our medical issues all go around the subject of excessive demand. Mm-hmm. So they look into the illness and they say that whether that qualifies for excessive demand or not. And excessive demand, it means that your illness costs Canadians more than $100,000, slightly more than $100,000, more than $100,000 in the next 5 years. So if a medical officer comes to the conclusion that this disease will cost Canadians, for example, $150,000 in the next 5 years, then yes, that could cause medical inadmissibility to Canada. But if they realize that the cost of this illness in the next 5 years for Canadians would be, for example, $75,000, then they don't care. And that doesn't make you inadmissible to Canada. What I personally usually do, even before applying, we consult with physicians. We receive their reports, we do some estimates with the help of some professionals, and we realize whether we are in danger zone or not. And if we are in danger zone, then we'll try to come up with a plan, upfront plan to mitigate the situation. And obviously, when we receive the PFL or procedural fairness letter from the immigration authorities, we already have all the documents in place, and we can negotiate with them. We can come up with alternatives. There are some solutions around medical inadmissibility to Canada. Having said that, again, if the cost is below the excessive demand cost, then in most cases we won't have any problems. But if it's above, then there is a problem and it needs to be addressed. So the next question is from Donald Porter. Hi, good morning. Apply for permanent resident reach portal and my address and date of arrival. Then I respond, but I can't open the PDF. What am I to do? So they usually give you so this is about the new way of landing in Canada. So if you have received those letters for landing in Canada, and you cannot open the files, or you have problems because they already have given you an email, try to get in touch with that email and explain the problem with them. If not, then you need to use the IRCC web form. I have an article and video about how to use IRCC web form. You can watch that video and just Google IRCC web form and you will find it. But again, I don't know about the specifics of your case. If you have an immigration consultant or lawyer, you can also get in touch with them and they will tell you how to resolve the issue. So Vinod says, regarding employment reference, is it mandatory on letterhead or we can arrange from superior? What is the process for that? So the ideal employment reference letter is a letter that is on the letterhead of the company, because the reason that they want letterhead, it's not because it's beautiful, because on the letterheads there's a website of the company, there's the address, phone number, email address. So that information will allow the immigration officer to make sure, first of all, realize that this is an official letter they are receiving. Second of all, they can check out whether this is a real company and the letter is genuine or not. That's why they want to see the letterhead. However, if the letterhead is missing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they refuse the application. It means that it makes it more complicated for the officer to evaluate the situation. And when you make it more complicated for the officer, sometimes they refuse the application, sometimes they ask for more documents, sometimes they ignore it and say, oh, okay, that's cool. And again, usually I prefer not to leave it to the discretion of the officer. I prefer to present the documentation in the most perfect way that is convincing to the immigration officers. Remember that the onus of proof is on the applicant, not on the officer. So it is the role of the applicant and the responsibility of the applicant to present documents in such a way that the officer easily understands them and that the officer doesn't ask for more documents from them. That's one thing that you keep in mind. But at the end of the day, of course, I don't know about the specifics of your case. If you were my clients, I would have given better advice on how to move forward. Okay, we have a low CRS score. Which province will be better to migrate? I cannot answer that question because, first of all, I don't know whether you qualify for any of those provinces or not. So what you can potentially do is just book an appointment with me and we'll look into your situation. So Marisa says, I want to thank you for that information. You're more than welcome. Again, another VNOT question. In case of rejections from PNP at health checks, will province pay back all fees we paid for the process? So generally speaking, medical inadmissibility is in the territory of the federal government, not the provincial government. So usually provinces, they do not intervene with inadmissibility issues because that's not the area they are expert at, unless there is something that is super duper open and with them, that they know that this is a case that they have to refuse because of inadmissibility issues. Generally speaking, the inadmissibility, including medical inadmissibility and other types of inadmissibility, they happen at the federal level. And no, if the federal authorities refuse an application because of inadmissibility, they definitely do not refund anything. The only thing that they could refund is the right of permanent residence fee, because you only need to pay it when you become a permanent resident. So if you have already paid that, they will refund you. But the rest of the payments won't be refunded. So the next question is about FOSA. Thank you for detailed feedback. You're more than welcome. Malik advertising, what is the better way, owner operator, LMIA, or IMPC 11? So it's very, they are very similar to each other. The problem with owner operator is that starting from April 1st, 2021, the government potentially put a stop on every application under owner operator, because now for the owner operator applications, you need to advertise the job. And the problem with advertisement and recruitment efforts is that you need to deal with an active business that has been around for a few years. And that's a problem, because this means that with the owner operator, you cannot apply unless you purchase a very active business. And that means usually, not necessarily, it means millions of dollars in investment in Canada. You cannot just purchase a business with $50,000 and hope for the best. So no, again, I emphasize there could be some active businesses that have been around for a while and they are not that expensive, but most of them either do not exist or they are very expensive. So that's why the scope of owner-operator applications have been extremely limited since April 1st, 2021. And that leaves us with IMPC 11, which is a very good alternative for owner-operator. And I have been personally for the past almost 4 years, since November 2017, I have been doing IMPC 11 only. And so far, it's been, for most cases, it's been the success rate has been really good. I've had clients from, I don't know how many countries, but probably 15 different countries for under IMPC 11. I've had clients from India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from the United States of America, from France, from Mexico, from Iran, from Chile, from Colombia, where else? Uruguay, Italy, Romania, and I'm pretty sure there are some other countries that I don't remember. So there has been, and we had all different kinds of applications, port of entry applications, online applications, you name it, I've done it. And I think I have a good grasp of IMPC 11. I cannot say I recommend this over owner operator, but this is what we have been doing for the past almost 4 years, doing IMPC 11 instead of owner operator. Also, one thing that I learned is that usually, not necessarily, IMPC 11 is way cheaper than owner operator. So that's the gist of it. Again, Param Saini says, sir, I apply my student's file after refusal. UCI no change, due to which my biometric not show in my file. What can I do? So unfortunately, I didn't quite get your question. If the problem is with, okay. So the UCI number shouldn't change. So this is a problem, because UCI number should remain regardless of your application. Now, will this happen? Yes, sometimes it happens. I recently had a client that had 2 UCI numbers. So it shouldn't happen, but it happens from time to time, and it complicates cases. You could get in touch. I mean, generally speaking, we could get in touch with immigration authorities and explain the situation and ask them to fix this issue. Whether they will do it or not, it depends. But generally speaking, that's the best way to move forward, to get in touch with them through IRCC web form and tell them, look, this is the current UCI that you're using, but I already had a UCI number in the past, and then they can fix that issue. Vinod says, thanks for the time and information. Thank you. And then Sunil, sir, can you please inform the steps involved in applying under AIPP? So AIPP, or it depends on the process, but generally speaking, with Atlantic Immigrant Program, what you need to do is that you need to receive a job offer from an employer. That job offer needs to be registered with the provincial authorities. So not every employer can make that offer. If they make an official offer to you, then you submit your application for permanent resident and you become permanent resident of Canada. So this is a very generic process. But if you go on IRCC website, they also have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they explain it in details. And then the next, and actually the last one, because we already 1 hour mark. Salam from Sri Lanka. Hello. My son study permit refused. Less fun. We showed 36,000 Sri Lankan rupees. How much do we need? So generally speaking, for study permit applications, usually, I mean, this is the ideal situation. The ideal situation is that you pay the full tuition fee of 1 year. So you pay the 1 year tuition fee, and also you need to show you have enough financial support for 1 year of staying in Canada. And for a single person to stay in Canada for 1 year, generally speaking, again, this is very rough, but we usually need at least $15,000 to $25,000 in financial support. Otherwise, how can you live in Canada if you don't have enough to that? So let's say, and again, this is a very generic approach. So for example, if the tuition fee is $15,000, then we need to pay that $15,000. On top of that, let's say we show another $20,000. So a total of $35,000. Again, this is very generic. For SDS applicants, it is more specific. If you are applying under the SDS system, you pay 1 year of tuition fee. On top of that, you purchase a GIC to the amount of $10,000, and they usually accept that you have financial support to do your studies in Canada. Okay, thank you very much for attending this session. I will post the links below this video after we are done with the live session. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Al Parsai. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I have been practicing for more than 10 years. Actually, now it's almost 11 years. I hold a Master of Laws from York University and other master's degrees from Yorkville University in counseling psychology. I am the author of the bestseller book, 88 Tips on Immigration to Canada. You can purchase this book by visiting Amazon.ca or any other Amazon websites. And I have also been teaching for the past 5 years at Ashton College. Many of the immigration consultants out there, they have been my students. And that's pretty much it. This concludes our live session. We run live sessions every Sunday at 10 a.m. Toronto or Eastern Standard Time. And if you speak Farsi or Persian language, I also run an Instagram Farsi session on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But English versions will be on YouTube every Sunday at 10 a.m. Thank you again. Please subscribe to our channel, follow our videos, watch our videos. We just recently passed 6,000 subscribers. I thank every single subscriber. So please subscribe to our channel, follow our channel. I promise that I will soon publish more videos on our channel. See you soon, and bye now.